If you've ever heard someone say they started learning a new language, the next word that came out of their mouth was most likely Duolingo. Now this is no surprise considering how mainstream the app has gotten thanks to its great app design and marketing. Learn a new language in a fun and exciting way by only spending a few minutes a day. This of course sounds like an amazing deal. And upon downloading, you get rewarded with bright colors, a ranking system, streaks, rewards and more. So there's no wonder why people's opinions of the app is almost always positive. However, when you do some further research into the app and apps like it, you'll also hear a bunch of people criticizing them, saying they can never successfully teach you a language. So, which one is it? Are they useless, or in fact God's gift to humanity, allowing you to turn your short toilet breaks into fluent Spanish after just a few months? And if that's the case, then how do you use them properly to accomplish that goal? Well, that's exactly what we'll be discussing today. So stick around as we explore the good, the bad, and the ugly about the app. Now, getting into language learning can be truly life-changing and give you a hobby that isn't only fun in the moment, but also gives you something after you're done doing it. However, with all the apps, resources, and methods out there, it can be quite overwhelming. And that's probably a big reason for why many people never even start. Duolingo is therefore, in my opinion, a pretty good way to dip your toes into language learning and get started with learning in a fun and exciting way. I mean, it can teach you some of the most common words and grammatical structures, as well as the language's writing system pretty intuitively. And combined with features like streaks, quests, and leagues, you both feel like you're competing against other people and yourself, which gives you a good reason to keep showing up and build consistency with your learning. So having said this, I do actually think the app gets a bit too much hate sometimes. The app can be quite a good entryway into language learning for people who are new to the pursuit. And after all, learning consistently is obviously a very key part of effective language learning. So making that daily habit not feel like a chore is extremely important. I myself, like many others, got started learning using the app. So I think if it, or apps like it, helps get started and keep learning, then that's obviously a good thing, and it does deserve some respect in that regard. The issue, however, is when people don't only get started using it, but keep using it. And that brings us to the bad about Duolingo. As of the time of recording this, I currently have about a 750-day streak in the app. Yet I find myself rarely using it outside of my daily lesson. And that's a big problem. See, consistency is obviously very important in learning anything successfully. But you also need to be able to branch off of what got you started learning something into what's actually going to get you to the finish line. The bad thing about Duolingo is exactly what's so good about it. Its addictive nature. Duolingo keeps you hooked with daily notifications, rewards and streaks, which makes you want to come back to it every single day. And if you miss a day, no problem, we'll freeze it right for you so you can come back to it the day after. Now the issue with this is that it sort of tricks you into falsely believing that you're making progress, when in reality all you're doing is using a fun and colorful app for a few minutes every single day, learning nothing more than a few basic words. The fact of your streak going up, or you progressing from chapter to chapter, makes you feel like you're making a whole lot more progress than you're actually making. Now, grammar and vocabulary are of course useful tools in your language learning toolbox. But it's crucial that you at some point start exploring more advanced methods of learning. If all you're looking for is some entertainment, then of course it's no problem and you can keep using the app as much as you want to. But if you're looking to achieve any resemblance of fluency, then you'll probably need to change up your approach. And this brings us to the ugly side of Duolingo, which are people's false expectations. Because we live in a world where people expect to get everything instantly, they think they can have the most fun in the moment, get the best results possible, and get them in the quickest time possible, all at the same time. But that's nothing more than a fairy tale. The reality with language learning is that it takes time. And sometimes, that time will have to be spent doing things that are quite challenging, like watching content in your target language that you don't fully understand yet, or learning vocabulary through more effective but monotonous means. Now, language learning can and should be fun, but not 100% of the time. That's a really good way to ensure that you're making close to no progress. And that's why I believe most Duolingo users get stuck and never actually end up reaching their real goals. So you're probably here left wondering how we should actually use the app if we want to learn from it. So let's talk about that. Duolingo actually has two really good features that people don't seem to be using a whole lot. That's their stories and podcasts. They let you learn in a natural way with more common day-to-day expressions, less pronunciation errors, and most importantly, more time actually spent with the language. This solves one of the biggest problems with Duolingo and language learning apps like it, namely the little amount of time that you're actually spending with the language you're trying to learn. Most of what you do in these apps are just these grammar drills, where you're forced to construct English sentences and pair words together, which means that if you're lucky, maybe 2 minutes out of 5 are actually spent interacting with the language in its natural state. And in comparison, if you were to watch a YouTube video or a TV show in the language that you're trying to learn instead, Close to all 5 of those minutes will be used getting language into your head. So in short, if you can use their stories when you're sitting down to study, and then listen to their podcast when you can't sit down to study, then you'll make way better progress than the people who are just doing their standard grammar drills. And this can actually be quite an effective way to learn in the beginning stages of learning language. But after some time, if you want to keep advancing, then you'll have to use other methods as well. So if you want to know about the proven language learning method with a 100% success rate of teaching you any language to fluency, then check out the video on the screen and I'll see you there.